So recently I've been thinking about how everything is just made of vibes, because if you think about like an atom, it's vibrating, electromagnetic field or whatever. There's like neutron, protons, electrons that whirl around it. We are just made up of atoms and molecules, and in fact the space between the atoms is greater than the space occupied by the atoms. And the way that you experience reality is through your emotions. That's triggered by like shit that's happening in your brain, and like the chemical release of different hormones that make feelings and then your thoughts that are associated with them, which is your emotions. Actually, no, sorry, it's your emotions and then your feelings. I don't know. One of them involves thoughts and the other one doesn't. And basically, reality itself is neutral, and everybody is projecting and responding to reality according to their own context and their own vibration. So you have high vibrations and low vibrations. High vibrational feelings are like joy, happiness, love, and like around here you have like neutrality and radical acceptance, and then down here you have low vibrations, which is like fear, anger, disgust, contempt, insecurity, anxiety. Different people are naturally born on different places on this scale. So you might have someone who is like naturally able to see like the positive side of life, and then you have other people that are more inclined to like depression and sadness. Me, I was down here. But throughout your life, you're going to experience like different emotions in response to reality. And when you're younger, this is time. So when you're younger, like your brain hasn't fully developed and you haven't been alive long enough to actually understand what your triggers are and why you respond in certain ways to different stimuli. So you don't have as much control over your emotions and your self-awareness. But as you get older and you have more experience, you understand, okay, these are the things that make me happy, these are the things that make me sad. And then there are also different ways to move yourself up and down this scale. So you might be able to artificially jump your way up and down according to taking certain substances, putting yourself in certain situations. These all rely on like material, real world, outer world things to trigger different emotional responses. So maybe you take drugs, you get high, or maybe you drink a lot and then you get depressed. But your individual vibes are determined by your ability to control and manage your thoughts and emotions. So you can artificially jump your way up and down this scale, but if you don't develop self-awareness around how you're feeling and radical acceptance for how you're feeling at different stages, you will not be able to control and manage your way around this spectrum. The reason why you shouldn't compare yourself to anyone is because people are born on different parts of this scale, and that they will kind of move around according to their circumstances, but you don't control your circumstances when you're born, okay? You're born the way you're born, but your life experience gives you the opportunity to develop self-awareness so that you can learn to move around this scale and manage your thoughts and emotions. So for me, I definitely was down here when I was born, but I kind of like existed around here, and then I experienced like rock bottom mentally and emotionally in my mid to late 20s. And through a series of hard work and self-determination and trauma facing and radical acceptance, I managed to move myself further up this spectrum and maintain like a healthy level that I like, and then also have long-term goals to experience more and more positive emotions. Because I've like done the work, which involved like therapy, regular meditation practice, journaling, thought dumping, self-reflection, time alone, abstaining from like toxic relationships, not drinking too much or too often. I exercise self-discipline, which is a form of self-love, in order to move my way up this scale. I also let go of comparisons because I recognize that there are some people that are naturally born up here, and then life will take them around and they can determine whether or not they're going to stay up here. And then also sometimes people are born up here and they experience life events that bring them down here, and because they were up here, used to being up here without having to put much work in, they don't know how to get back up, or it's very difficult for them to get back up, and then now they're like average or default setting moves down. Also, there are some people that are down here and they just enjoy being down here, you know, like, or they're not willing to do the work to move themselves up here. They just envy people that are up here, but they don't want to do anything to get up there, or they're not open to the idea that they are able to control where they move up and down the scale. So sometimes I get asked, how do we feel about haters? Well, I feel like I've worked very hard to move up this scale, okay? And I know that people that are hating on me from outside the club, they're down here, because nobody who's up here and worked for it is coming for anybody down here, because you know what it feels like to be on this lower vibrational frequency and you've worked hard to move up. Why the hell would I look back and go down there if someone's trying to drag me down there for no reason? Also, this is how you're able to let go of toxic relationships, because you recognize that people that are down here, when you have been down there yourself, you know that it is hard to bring yourself back up. It's very difficult for me to be bamboozled by empty promises and potential, because I know that it takes work, okay? If you're sad, if you're depressed, it doesn't have to be that way forever, but you need to learn to radically accept your emotions. Your feelings are valid, but you determine how you respond to your feelings. So you don't have to stay down here forever, okay? Radical acceptance can bring you to a neutral place. Not easy when you're used to being down here, but radically accepting, processing your emotions, and then you can start to take little baby steps to move yourself up. And the reason why life is not linear, healing is not linear, is because your emotions are going to change all the time. There are things happening around you all the time. You don't exist in a vacuum. You are going to be having emotional responses to your reality, and it is up to you to determine how you respond. Your feelings are valid, but only you are responsible for your feelings and how you respond, because only you can live inside your head, okay? That's also why you need to give up on trying to guess how other people are thinking, okay? It doesn't make a difference, because a lot of people don't know. Only like 5 to 10% of your thoughts are conscious and the rest is unconscious. So that's why doing practices like meditation and focusing on your breath brings you in contact with your emotions and brings you in contact with the present, because breathing is a subconscious act the same way that thinking is. You will never be able to stop breathing the same way you'll never be able to stop thinking. That's why when you bring consciousness and awareness to your breath, you are also bringing consciousness and awareness to your thoughts. And then when you're able to do that, you can manage the thoughts that you have around your emotional responses to reality. Different people have different levels and openness to their ability to be influenced by the vibrations of others around them. You are the sum of the people you spend the most time around. So if you're up here and you spend time with people down here, you will eventually be dragged down here. If you are up here, you cannot necessarily bring people up here, because the force of gravity pushes down on you. If it's like a friend, a family member, a romantic situation, a work situation, it doesn't matter. The dynamic is the same. Obviously, you can decide the details, but just know people's inability to be open to doing the work, to move their way up the scale, they will forever pull you down with them, okay? Radical acceptance on both sides is when this person accepts they're here and that you're there, and you accept that you're here and they're there. That's rare in terms of like long-term compatibility. Ideally, you want anyone who's down here to be moving their way up to where you are. You can cheer them on and support them, but you cannot bring them up. Some people that are down here are very good at pretending that they're up here. That's why you need time to understand who somebody is, okay? People can promise a lot of shit in one span of time, but you will only know over time who they really are. That's why actions speak louder than words. The reason why it's important to be alone and to spend time being single is so you can understand where on this spectrum you sit and what it takes for you to get up here if this is your long-term goal. Because if you're up here when you're alone and you meet someone who triggers these emotions, that means they're probably further down on the vibrational frequency spectrum than you are. And if you continue to expose yourself to them, they might drag you down with them, okay? And that's why it's important to protect your energy. Do you see?